depression, the loneliness, and trying to fill this void in my soul that couldn't be filled by any accomplishment at work or anything else, of just being utterly alone, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And that I felt comfort being at the bar with these guys, with people I thought were my friends, and shooting pool and playing poker. I met my current wife at one of these bars, and we drank together. She's a wonderful woman. Just like my first wife was a wonderful woman. But my current wife, we, she had a young son, and he was old enough where he could be by himself. So she kind of missed some of her early 20s, raising her son.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got divorced, so now we were kind of free. So we partied our butts off together. We had and it didn't really help my situation. As I slowly progressed down the road of alcoholism, of getting worse.
So how old
worse.
were you at this time now?
Oh, back in that day, I'm 48 now. I was about 37, 36.
Okay.
I would say when it really, really started getting bad. So 35.
Yeah.
And it started getting even worse. I mean, up to the point of drinking almost every day. Not when I had to go do something, when I go home and fly, or go fly with a student at home, but it was the first thing I did when I got home.
Yeah.
And then my wife got pregnant with twins, and we lost one of the twins at birth.
I'm so sorry.
At 5 years ago.
That's tough.
The girl survived. And her brother passed away, but she was a micro preemie. She was born at 1 pound,
wow,
10 ounces at 20. She was born at 23 weeks.
She's
and
a fighter.
She spent 5 months, and then she's great now. She's perfect now. But I went into total just meltdown mode after that, and it was
sure
to the point where it was getting to the point where
yeah, that's tough.
I got to the point I went through a period where I thought I needed to take some time off at work. So I went to a therapist and talked to him about my feelings, and lied to the therapist. He goes, "How much do you drink?" I said, "I only drink a couple a day."
Sure,
which is wrong, because at this point in time, I was up to a case of beer a day and a half a bottle of vodka.
Wow.
At home.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes a full bottle of vodka a day.
And
wow.
What led to that? Was it a feeling of you have all this stress that you're trying to manage in your life, so much depression to deal with, which on your best day would be a challenge, let alone when you've had a long history of drinking.
Right.
And as you're mentioning, like, that kind of opened the floodgates to, now I'm going to take some time off work and regroup, and I'm going to now I have all the opportunity to start drinking heavily. But to drink a half a bottle or a full bottle of vodka and a case of beer, how do you just not pass out? And how do you function? And how does that make it that, is a numbness, is it?
Yes, exactly. It's a numbness. And there's that word again, function, right? Function and functional. I was not functional. I could get up and cook breakfast for the kids in the morning, but I never went to sleep.
So that's really the biggest fallacy,
right,
that we've heard here for those that have not been through this program or not experienced it, to use the word function or functional and alcohol or alcoholism in the same sentence. Really, it's an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it is. Some of the healthcare professionals out there may disagree with me, but I look back on my time as an active alcoholic at my worst. My life was totally non-functional. My sole purpose in life was to make money so I could buy something to drink.
Wow.
It had gotten to the point that I was trying to allude to a little bit earlier. As it went on, after that traumatic event with my child, and my drinking I took that time off work. I was looking for an excuse for somebody to tell me why I felt this way, why I felt so depressed, or why I felt so alone. And but I wasn't. I wasn't alone. I've still got my family. I got my friends. And why I felt alone in a group of people. Or why my friends were treating me differently. Why the gentleman that has all those cool airplanes that I flew didn't want me to come back to the hangar anymore. I didn't understand why. In my brain, it was, well, he's got bad judgment. He doesn't understand my talents that I bring to this hangar, what I can do for him and fly his airplanes and help keep them maintained and flying and taking them to air shows. How dare he tell me I can't fly his airplanes anymore? That's how an alcoholic thinks.
Did that create some kind of like an aggressive mentality towards those people that are around you? That
No, it didn't. There's no aggressive. When they said that, I just left the hangar, and I thought, well, great. I don't have to go back to that hangar anymore. I can stay at home and do what I want. Here's the thing one of the things that you would think would make somebody open their eyes is that my son, he's 12 now. When he was 10 years old, 9.5, he was over here for his weekend with me, and he said, "Daddy, I don't like you when you're drunk. I don't want to come back here anymore."
Oh.
And I said, "Okay, call your mom." And his mom came and got him, and he left. And I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was like, great. I don't have to watch that kid. I can drink some more.
Oh,
gotcha.
It is. And, he said he'd come over if I quit drinking. I said, nah, don't worry about it.
The drinking was more important to your mind, as they call the middle mind, or that part of your brain that says, this is me. This is who I am.
This is like, well, okay, I don't have to do it. I was extremely sad about it. I was extremely upset about it. But the alcohol said, well, you know what? You can't get it back. You might as well keep drinking.
Yeah.
That's what the disease said to me. You might as well keep drinking. And I did. And I kept drinking. And what got me to the point to where I needed, it's a sequence of events, is that with the last job, I had a check ride, the 6 months check. We did ours in the sim. We did one with a check airman, and then we did one in the sim. And I was paired up with a gentleman who was also a drinker, and we stayed at the hotel at the I call the Homeboy Suites there in Dallas, Texas. And the Homeboy Suites they got free drinks from 5 to 7 every day, Monday through Thursday. And that was our warm up. 2 hours of drinking, then dinner, and then because we didn't have to study for recurrent back then, man. We were in the airplane for so long, you just did it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I went to the sim the next morning, hammered. All right, I made him drive. I couldn't drive. I was so hungover and so drunk, I couldn't drive. I went into that check ride. We did it back then with the oral first, and then to get into sim.
Yeah.
I passed that check ride into oral with flying colors, like it was nothing. Now, think about what that did to my alcoholic brain.
Oh boy!
It's another step. See, you were so bad, you shouldn't even been walked out of the room, but you still did it. You still went out there and flew a perfect check ride.
Yeah.
The instructor told me, because that's one of the best check rides I've ever seen.
Oh boy!
So I said, oh, no. And we drove back. We were done at noon. Guess where we went? To the bar.
Celebrate.
Right to the bar. Yeah.
Yeah. And so fast forward about a week and a half, I went back to work. I met up with a friend of mine in a hotel in New York. We drank all night. The next morning, I wake up like, I'm calling sick. That's what I said to myself. I'm going to call sick. And something in my head said, no, man, just get up and take a shower. You'll be okay. So I got up and took a shower. I got out of the shower, man. I feel like crap. No, man. Tell you what. Why don't you go ahead and shave and brush your teeth, pop in a mint, see how you feel. So I shaved. I did all that. No, I think I should just call sick. And then it said again, hey, why don't you put your uniform on? You'll be okay. You've done this 1,000,000 times. So I put my uniform on, got my stuff, walked out of the door, walked down, got into the elevator, went downstairs to the lobby. As I was walking out of the elevator, I tripped over the stairs and I tripped over nothing in the elevators and almost fell down like a drunk because I was drunk. Wow. I turned around, got back in the elevator, called sick, scared to death that somebody had seen me because that lobby was full of pilots. So I went and hid in my room for about 2 hours. And what any alcoholic does, I went and found the bar and I sat there all day.
Yeah. And
then I came home petrified that somebody had seen me. I was going to get caught. And I had the one thing that was missing from my life showed up. God showed up for me. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm either going to kill myself because I was to the point of I was suicidal. You know, I was thinking about it. So you're suicidal if you even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do this anymore. And I had a good friend of mine that had went through the HIMS program at the fractional, and he was working for a legacy carrier now. And he had been talking to me for about 1.5 years about going to get help. He knew I needed help. He's an alcoholic. I couldn't bullshit. I couldn't get anything over on him.
Yeah.
And I called him up and sat in my bathroom one night and said, I can't do this anymore, Michael. I need help. He goes, great. Stay on the line. I call him. He goes, great. I'll call you back in 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, he had me a bed in a rehab center in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow. Thank God for him.
Yeah, because he's really in touch with the HIMS program. And so my wife and I jumped in the car. I can laugh about this now, but I had a 9-pack of pints. You know, those pints in the aluminum cans?
Yeah.
And I had a half a bottle of vodka, and I took it with me and drank it on the way to Knoxville.
One last hurrah.
We're going to do this. Might as well go out swinging.
Yeah, that's it.
Go down swinging.
You know, my last beer was sitting in our truck. My wife was sitting over there outside smoking a cigarette with the attendee that was going to check me in, waiting on me to finish my beers. And that was my last beer. So as I walked into rehab, and was there for 30 days, you know, but
wow.
Yeah. That's how the drinking went for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's one story that's my story. That's how I just couldn't do it. And I mentioned God because that's what.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. And the rehab, the fact that you mentioned, you said, well, I found God and that was it. And I just said, that's it. I need help. And you reached out to the right person, you know, thank goodness for that.
Well, it's not really, I didn't really find God because I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking for God. Is that I had nowhere else. I was just standing there totally lost, totally miserable, totally, you know, didn't know what to do. And I felt the presence of something, right?
Yeah.
And some people, you know, God is not their thing. That's fine. It was something other than myself.
Mm-hmm.
And but he is a big part of my recovery now. Yeah. That was just a nudge, you know, the nudge to get me going there. So, and it was amazing though. It was an amazing feeling. Even that, I can still remember the whole thing of standing there. So when I said, I need help, it's just like a lot of things just melted away immediately.
Yeah. Is that almost like, and I've heard people say this before, is that at that point, when you admit that you need the help, does it feel like just tons of weight are now lifted from your shoulders because you've admitted? Is that the way it works?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to live the lie anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to lie to yourself. You don't have to lie. I never had to lie to my wife or my parents or my friends, they all knew I was a drinker.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the fact of lying to myself that I had this, that I could control this. The fact that I am completely and totally 100% incapable of controlling my alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to alcohol because once I have one, I want it all.
Yeah.
Because that's my problem is most companies have the employee assistance program. You remember that you can call
EAP. Sure.
EAP, right?
Yeah.
Well, I called the EAP 5 times, and each time they told me that I might be an alcoholic, and I kept saying, "Oh, your guys are full of crap." And the one time the EAP was right, this older lady, really sweet woman, said, "David," she goes, "I want you to do this. I want you to get 8 minis out of the airplane." So I told her all about where I got my liquor on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't get all on the road from the airplane. I bought a lot of it myself too, but But
there was a free opportunity right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it said, "She's, I want you to drink 5 of them and leave 3 of them in your bag tonight, and call me back when you leave them in there." Well, I tried that 4 times, and I always drink all 8 of them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You couldn't stop.
Right. But the thing, that's one thing I would stress with the employee assistance program. The people you talk to there, they don't know anything about the HIMS program.
Okay.
And they can steer you down the wrong path. And they're trying to do good. They're not bad people. I'm not talking down about the EAP program whatsoever. Is that they're not HIMS trained, and they really could lead you down the wrong path. That's why the HIMS program is there, and why the union's there.
So let's talk a little bit about the HIMS program. We've mentioned it before on the show. We've had a HIMS director on the show. If you go back and listen, as an episode called "A Journey of Giving Back." Wonderful episode. I learned a lot at that interview about HIMS, the Human Intervention Motivation Study. It's specifically for commercial pilots and coordinates the identification, the treatment, and the return to the cockpit for impaired aviators. At what point did you migrate to be involved with that? Was it through the rehab process when you checked yourself in and then you knew you had to, or was your friend who helped you along this process the one that guided you, or did you just know?
Well, my buddy, my friend that guided me through the process, since the fractional company didn't have a HIMS program that was written down or anything, it was just kind of word of mouth. So he knew which facilities the FAA would use, and they kind of, they have a certain amount of them around the country that understand and have a HIMS director at the facility for the pilots. Where I went, a lot of places, a lot of airlines send their people there. There were a lot of legacy guys there, a lot of regional guys there, a lot of a lot of pilots were there. I mean, from all aspects, from cargo to legacy, to packs. So once you get there, they know you're a HIMS pilot, and you are immediately wrapped up in their blanket, right? Of I want to say almost protection, to make sure that you get everything you need as a pilot to satisfy what the FAA wants to see in your recovery program.
I see.
The 30 days. You have to spend 30 days there. And then it has to have a certain aspect. It has to have some computer testing that you have to do. Get your brains, you can practice these computer tests, these cognitive tests that you have to do later on down the road in the process. And they break down the process for you. Because as pilots, we want to know what the checklist is. Mm-hmm. I have a problem. Okay, I have a drinking problem. I have admitted it now. Show me the checklist so I can get back in the cockpit. That's exactly what every pilot says. So, and the questions are always, well, when can I get back in the cockpit?
Yeah.
That question comes about 10 minutes into the process, right?
Yeah.